The survival horror genre has given us some of the most intriguing and immersive gaming experiences in video game history. While games like Sweet Home or Alone in the Dark helped shape the genre, it wasn't until a certain video game franchise hit the scene that the genre's popularity exploded, paving the way for the action-filled terrors we're accustomed to today. So we've compiled our list of top 10 scariest video games, and while there's a ton of great ones that we couldn't include on this list, we can at least promise you that the ones here will definitely give you quite the scare. Let's jump in. And at number 10 is Call of Cthulhu. The horror genre owes a lot to H.P. Lovecraft, so naturally a game based off of his work would be pretty damn scary. While the game isn't the best of the bunch, it does manage to induce a whole lot of fear in the players, at least during the first half of the game that is, when you're unarmed exploring Innsmouth, which is filled with plenty of little horrors of its own. And at number 9 is Home. Sometimes the simpler, the scarier, as we're about to see in our next number on this list. Home is an indie game consisting entirely of 8-bit graphics, where you play a protagonist that wakes up in a strange house with a busted leg, and you have to set out to find what happened to your wife while you make your way back home. The game encourages players to jack up the sound and turn off the lights as they move closer and closer to your home, lit only by the protagonist's flashlights. The sheer simplicity of the game, along with its sound design, is enough to freak you right out, providing some chilling and ambiguous plot points and unexpected jumps. And at number 8 is Until Dawn. Working within the realm of the butterfly effect, Until Dawn is a game about a group of teens who return to their friend's cottage a year after his twin sisters were mysteriously killed on the property after a prank gone wrong. We slowly discover there's something more nefarious in the works around the cottage. Every action the player makes goes a long way. By the end of the game, you can still have your whole cast of characters alive, or entirely dead, or just a few remaining. And it's chock full of good scares, thrusting the responsibility of survival into the player's hands. And at number 7 is Alien Isolation. Set 15 years after the events of the 1979 Alien film, you play Ellen Ripley's daughter, Amanda, on a quest to find out what happened to her mother. With a focus on stealth, you have limited ammunition and must rely on your smarts to survive. And you won't be able to kill the alien, oh no. You've got to hide and run your way through the game. Many critics praised the game for capturing the tone of the original Ridley Scott film, and its stunning but mortifying environments that really lend to the mystery and terror that awaits you in the space station. And at number 6 is Slender The Arrival. Slender Man is an urban myth that over recent years has been getting a lot more attention, so it makes sense that there would be a game based on him. Sure enough to finish the game within one night, Slender the Arrival plops characters into a small town's mystery, as you, unarmed, must escape from Slender Man's grip. What makes the game so scary is the lack of visibility when running around the forest, Slender's minions who come out at you viciously, and his ever-lurking presence in the distance watching you as you progress. Chilling. And at number 5 is Amnesia: The Dark Descent. Released in 2010 and later in 2016 for the PS4, Amnesia takes place in a Prussian castle. Similar to Home, you wake up and you have no idea how you got there. And there's monsters, of course. The gameplay also has a strong emphasis on physics-based puzzles, which sometimes help you with stealth, but other times make it incredibly difficult to get away from the monsters that pursue you when they see you. Unlike some of the other games on this list that require you to run and hide from the creatures chasing you, the monsters in this game are relentless. They'll tear through the building just to get to you. Doors don't mean
Run, run, run! Ah! No, where is it? Ah! Ah! Get down! Where the f*** did it go? Ah!
And when you hide in the dark to avoid them, you start to experience hallucinations, making it not an option you really want to take, unless you have to stay alive. And at number 4 is Resident Evil. This list wouldn't be complete without mentioning one of the biggest survival horror genre games in video game history. And Resident Evil is technically the game that began the survival horror genre, or at least started using that term back in 1996. Critics have called it one of the finest horror games ever created, along with launching one of the most successful series in gaming history. While we won't touch on the rest of the games in its series, it's worth noting that the 2002 remake of the original game was even more horrific, with updated graphics and even adding a few new horrors to the mix, including a zombie that rises from the dead and runs at you. Nothing like a terrifying sprint to get your blood boiling. And at number 3 is Outlast. To avoid giving away any spoilers for the newest Outlast game, we'll be focusing on the first and the Whistleblower DLC for this number. So Outlast is filled with a constant stream of terrors as you get trapped inside an insane asylum and slowly piece together the story of what happened. There's a lot of running, a lot of stealth, a lot of hiding, and a lot of capturing the horrific events you witness on your camcorder. Sometimes it's really hard to find a battery too. Personally, I wasn't too big of a fan of the last level of the game, but it still provided a nerve-wracking amount of tension and gore. And the rest of the game makes certain to keep you on the edge of your seat with the oh-so-disturbing territory it ventures into. And at number 2 is Silent Hill 2. Personifying psychological horror is no easy feat, and that alone is why Silent Hill 2 can be considered one of the greatest horror games of all time. While the first Silent Hill was praised for changing the genre, moving away from the B-movie horror elements and gave us more of the the horror similar to that of Japanese horror films, the second's narrative exceeds that of its predecessor, and presents us with some terrifying creations. Who for the most part are metaphorical of the protagonist James' psychological trauma, and that's some And finally, in at number 1 we have PT. As we mentioned before, simplicity can go a long way in making something terrifying. So PT, which was short for Playable Teaser, is a first-person game that was designed and directed by Hideo Kojima and Guillermo del Toro, and it was a teaser for the game Silent Hills, a cancelled installment of the Silent Hill series. After the cancellation, PlayStation removed it from their store, and, well, good luck finding it now, despite the intense criticism that move received. So why is it adored? Well, it's a hallway on loop, each time altering ever so slightly, where you encounter some terrifying supernatural occurrences, and it forces players to investigate frightening events and solve cryptic puzzles. You're also defenseless with no means to protect yourself. For a demo so simple, it was complex, horrific, thick with tension, and received major acclaim in its short lifespan. So there we have it, friends. There's a whole lot of great horror games we didn't get to touch on this time around, so let us know if you want us to do a part 2 of this list. And make sure you hit those like and subscribe buttons if you want more gaming lists in general. I've been Kelly Pally for Top 10 Gaming, and I will catch you guys in the next one.